Well, hey everybody, welcome to part 2 of my installation video on the Moto Cello audio bridge for the BMW K1600. You'll remember in the first video, if you haven't watched it, I suggest you go back and rewatch it. I installed the Moto Cello device right here, splicing it into the wiring loom of the K1600 speaker outputs. Again, that's all completely covered in part 1 of this video, so if you haven't watched part 1, it's 15 minutes long. I suggest you do that before moving on to this part. This part, we're going to connect the Sena SM10 Bluetooth transmitter, which is this device right here, which I spoke about in the first video, to the Moto Cello device. Now, basically, continuing on with that thought process, this coiled cable comes with the Sena SM10, and it plugs into the audio in port on the Sena, so that's what I've done here. Now, there is also a very long connection cable that comes with the Moto Cello if you want to run this and put this on your handlebars. I don't see a need to do that because the Moto Cello has a switch between speaker and Bluetooth, and once I move it down to that position, which is the audio output for headphones, it basically at that point is putting the audio output into the Sena for transmission to the headset of your choice, or the speaker system in your helmet setup. So with that being said, I'm going to use the provided coiled cable that comes with the Sena. And what I'm going to do is I found a place to put it. Now, it does come with this handy little connector with a 3M tape on it, and I think that I'm going to find this spot right here by the rear bracket on my GT. Now, I have a GTL seat on a GT, so somewhere I'm going to attempt to attach this in this area right here. I think it'll be out of the way. It won't be affected by the seat sitting on and off. And since I really don't have to worry too much about accessing it on a regular basis, I'm not going to be concerned about that as placement goes. And then I'm going to connect up a USB power cable to the battery, which is going to go and plug into the USB port on here to give this full-time power. Even though it's a battery-operated device, it needs constant power unless I want to keep taking the seat off at night and plugging this in and charging it up for 3 hours at a time. So that's kind of the process here that I'm going to be going after. The next video that we're going to see here, which for you will be in momentarily, for me it's going to be about 10 minutes, as I'm going to hook all this up, and then we're going to test it and see how it sounds with the bike's Sirius radio setup and the Wonder Wheel, which is the whole point of this process. So there you go. Stay tuned. All right, so when it came to the final setup, what I did was I just loosely mounted the Sena here, but I've ran the audio in cable and the USB power supply cable under this mount and directly over here, and plugged it into the Sena. So I think just having it sitting there should be fine, since it really isn't going to be getting that much vibration, and it's well under any of the seat components. Then I ran those wires underneath the audio amp, underneath the bracket across the top, and then basically plugged it into the Sena. Or I'm sorry, plugged the Sena into the Moto Cello, and then my cabling, my power cabling. Actually, I had the setup for my for my battery tender, and it had the same connector, so I just unplugged the connector from my battery tender and connected up the USB power supply device, and then plugged the USB cable into it. So now, as you can see, even with the bike off, I've got direct power to the Sena, and that shouldn't really be a concern. I don't think it draws any kind of real voltage, so I'm not going to be concerned about it setting off for days at a time while the bike is shut off. So with that being said, none of that's really moving around. I think it doesn't look that pretty, but you know what? It doesn't really, nobody's going to see it unless I take my seat off. So I'm going to leave it like that for right now. Now the next setup is going to be to pair it with my helmet, and then we'll see what how it works. So be back in just a moment. Okay, so after pairing everything, which is a pretty standard procedure for pairing a Senna, there's the audio. There's the Wonder Wheel. And that's with the volume about halfway up on the Senna S20, or 20S rather. I did turn the loudness on, and the loudness does work, but you gotta... Let me tell you, I did turn the loudness off, and it does work when you have it set like half and half, at 0 on everything. You can still use the loudness for low-level bass boost, or if you turn the volume up, you just need to turn the loudness off, but it's not distorted at all. It blows me right out of my helmet. So we have a successful install here. So there you go. So there's the Senna. Now there is a power switch on the side of the Senna SM10. You got to make sure and have it turned on, and then just push it until the blue and red lights flash, and then go into your pairing procedure on your Bluetooth setup, however it is, and it will find it and it will set up and it works. And there you go. So this install is done. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Thanks a lot. So I have a few closing thoughts about the install that I just finished. The Garmin Nav actually works quite well through the system. Since you're actually tapping into the speaker outputs, everything remains the same. So your phone will pair to the Garmin navigation perfectly. It'll play through the helmet headset and the Wonder Wheel perfectly. You can use your loudness, your bass and treble controls just as if you were using it with a pair of speakers, only it's outputting to the Senna Bluetooth instead, and you can do all that into your helmet setup. Take care.